see you on behalf of Secretary Yellen and her delegation. I want to thank the American Chamber of Commerce here in China for all of its support. I want to thank the executives who are here today. And I want to make two quick points before I introduce my friend Michael Hart. The first point is to thank our guest of honor, Secretary Yellen, for coming to China. We have not had a Treasury Secretary in this country in 4 years, and it's high time that we did. We have a consequential economic relationship between the United States and China. It's important for our workers and businesses. It's important for China, and given the fact that we're the two largest global economies, it's important for the world. What we've needed is what Secretary Yellen, in my judgment, as ambassador here, is bringing to this relationship. We need stable, effective, reliable communication at the highest levels between our two governments to work on our economic relationship, all the issues where we align and we can work well with China, and many of the issues where we have differences and you need to work out those differences. Secretary Yellen gave the most important speech about our economic policy at Johns Hopkins SAIS a couple of months ago. It provided a roadmap and a framework for how we can deal with China, and it provided clarity. So I want to thank her very much for that and thank her for being here. And she'll make a statement in just a minute. Finally, I wanted to thank the American Chamber and the executives before us. You're very important to us. You're on the front lines of a $690 billion two-way trade relationship. We try to give you unstinting support. We know you need a level playing field. We know that's important for each of the companies here, and that's the point of this meeting today, to have a full discussion. Let me introduce Michael. Michael Hart's the president of the American Chamber. He has spent 26 years in Asia, 20 of them in mainland China. He really knows this country. He's been a great leader of the American business community. Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Secretary Yellen, let me start by saying how honored we are to have you here in Beijing with us, representing the United States. Ambassador Burns and his team do a great job, but I'm sure he's happy to have your extra firepower this week. The American business community has called for more exchanges between China and the U.S. at all levels, including students, academic leaders, business leaders, and government officials. So your presence here is really important. We know that Oliver and the Treasury team have arranged a number of key meetings for you, and we know that your portfolio covers many areas where we need to cooperate with China, including on trade, global debt, the impact of the environment on economies, and economies on the environment. You've been given credit for saying that a minimum, if we are having trouble communicating with China, that we should at least start by talking to them about economics. And the people in this room agree with that approach, because we've been trying, regardless of what's happening at the political level, to find common cause with our Chinese counterparts by employing, manufacturing, producing, buying, selling, paying our taxes, and doing that all in a manner that reflects U.S. values. And we believe it also benefits the United States and China. So let me thank you again for coming. Thank you for taking the time to meet the business community. It's great to see you here.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you, Ambassador Burns, and thanks to all of you for joining me today. It's great to see you. I'm here in Beijing to carry forward President Biden's directive from his meeting with President Xi last November to deepen our communications with China, including on economic issues. We believe that it's in the best interest of both countries to make sure we have direct and clear lines of communication at senior levels. In the economic realm, regular exchanges with our Chinese counterparts can help us monitor economic and financial risks, and it can help create the conditions for a healthy economic relationship between our two countries. I believe that's particularly important right now as the global economy faces headwinds like Russia's illegal war in Ukraine and the lingering effects of the pandemic. During this trip, I'm discussing with Chinese officials our respective economic outlooks. As I said in my speech in April, the U.S. seeks healthy economic competition with China. but healthy economic competition where both sides benefit is only sustainable if that competition is fair. During meetings with my counterparts, I'm communicating the concerns that I've heard from the U.S. business community, including China's use of non-market tools like expanded subsidies for its state-owned enterprises and domestic firms, as well as barriers to market access for foreign firms. I've been particularly troubled by punitive actions that have been taken against U.S. firms in recent months. I'm also concerned about new export controls recently announced by China on 2 critical minerals used in technologies like semiconductors. We're still evaluating the impact of these actions, but they remind us of the importance of building resilient and diversified supply chains. Our economic relationship with China must work for American businesses and American workers. I will always champion your interests and work to make sure there is a level playing field. This includes coordinating with our allies to respond to China's unfair economic practices. I also think that a shift toward market reforms would be in China's interests. A market-based approach helped spur rapid growth in China and helped lift hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. It is a remarkable economic success story. Many of your firms understand how a level playing field can benefit both of our economies. China has an enormous and growing middle class with consumers who are eager to consume American goods and services. I've made clear that the United States does not seek a wholesale separation of our economies. We seek to diversify and not to decouple. A decoupling of the world's 2 largest economies would be destabilizing for the global economy, and it would be virtually impossible to undertake. I also made clear that actions we take to protect our national security are designed to be narrowly targeted, and that they are premised on straightforward national security considerations. They're not undertaken to gain economic advantage over China. In fact, trade between our 2 countries reached an all-time high last year, and if it's fair, trade and investment can support American jobs at home and promote American innovation. A stable and constructive relationship between the U.S. and China is in the interests of American workers and businesses. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you today about your plans in China, as well as how China's policies and practices are impacting your business operations. Thank you. I look forward to a good discussion.
Thanks, everybody. Madam Secretary, how do you protect intellectual property in China? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So guys. Thank you.